So just for anyone who's listening to this, Marcus is the only person I know who teaches the only college level commissioning course in the US. I'm unaware of any other commissioning course
Well,
that is taught at college level.
U of W, University of Wisconsin, they have there's this I think there's a couple.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I think you're being modest there because I think the University of Wisconsin is a training course.
mm,
Yours is plugged into an academic program. There's a difference
mm,
to that. So
okay.
take the W there, mate, because you deserve it. You are the only one. You are the goat, the unicorn. But here's my
Go.
question. Here's my question.
I'm a tiger.
Can you teach commissioning? Is it something you learn on the job or is it something you learn academically?
Well, okay. So great question, Adam, as always. So when people take my class, like so everybody, the thousands of students who are actually watching this, if anybody watches this, right? The first question of the day, I'm like, so how'd you hear about it? They go, I'm like, does anybody know what commission is? Hands or no. I'm like, so who to take it? Normally it's like if someone from another country, like my senior said to take it. Okay. Or it's like my advisor said to take it. Why? Because I'll learn stuff and it's a tough class. I'm like, okay, great. So I just want the truth, right? But so kids don't like, they're not born and go, I want to be a commissioner. Woo! Now. So they come into
Don't wait.
class. Honesty is the best. Honesty is always the best answer, right? So they don't know, they don't know, they don't know. And I tell them all the time. It's kind of like when you buy a car that you never saw your car, right? And then as soon as you buy it, you see 8,000 of your car driving by. You know what I mean? So once you learn commissioning, once you learn what the process is, once you start, remember, the classes, they just cover the pinky. Okay. All I can really do is help teach terms and basically and help people understand processes. When I say not functional testing process, not engineering processes, team, practical approaches. What is commissioning? Remember, because commissioning, just like controlled, it's voodoo. Like someone says the word commissioning checklist, you're like voodoo, right? Automatically. But if you say construction checklist, or if you say punch list, right? I get that. Punch list, construction checklist. I get that. You're checking off stuff for construction. Commissioning checklist, voodoo. Someone says controls, what voodoo, right? So you start to basically break the myth up a little bit of what it is you're actually trying to do. And when someone, like, we've gone over this before, but like when someone's like, what's an OPR? Owner's project requirements? Like start off with your own personal requirements. Everything that you teach, I base it on, this is going to sound the truth. I always say to people, do you have a car? Do you have an apartment? You know what I mean? Like, where do you live? Like, or so you could base things on questions in the house, questions in the car, questions on stuff, like even to the point where it's just like, what's the sequence of operation, right? I'm like, okay, so my example is stand up. I go, how many stops and goes does it take you to get from here to that door? And they go, oh, I just walk over here. No, you stood up, one. Basically, you turned a little left, two. You took 3 steps, stopped, foot 3. By the time you get to a door, if you're farther away, you got 30 different steps. If you were trying to teach someone maybe who couldn't see, who wasn't there in the room, when you start to explain to someone a sequence, they start to understand what it means. When you start to explain what it, like, for instance, if you had a building and it didn't have any air or water, what would it be? It would be a shell. Nobody would go there. But you have to basically pump water. You have to pump air, right? You actually have to have electrical services. You have to have IT, AV. God forbid you didn't have Wi-Fi, right? But at the exact same time, you have to teach them the process of things of construction and
Yeah.
engineering, of how it proceeds through. Because remember, a building, it might be built by bricks and mortar, but honestly, it's built by 10 miles high of paper. And you have to understand the process of paper and the process of the machine.
I agree. So I think the way I'm reading that is I think you can teach it, but again, I think commissioning, I don't know what year your course is attached to, but it would
Fourth
be
year
a
minimum, fourth
fourth
year,
year.
and
Yeah.
then fifth year, 6 year PhDs. But like I'm starting to think that maybe if I could get them, earlier, like they won't get it. But at the same time, what if you could grab a couple that go, I
I
like
don't
that,
know.
I want that.
I think the last year is the right year because they need some foundation there. And then, what you're doing is taking them through the applied side of it. You're teaching them like, this is a site chart. This is how you use it. This is how you run a sequence. This is how you run a control sequence. So, I think one of the problems with commission is there is too much on the job training and not enough theory. And with other engineering, it's completely the other way around, right? So I think, yes, there's a need for it. It should be a late term class, like a year 3 or 4, and it should be there. I'm surprised it's not there in other engineering faculties, actually.
It needs, so commissioning to me is always the glue that ties it all together. But what
Yeah.
if you're a 4th or 5th year, right? And you're like, oh, I've gone through 4 years of this, I've never heard this. Is it really that important? Why do I care? And then the valid argument. You're like, wait a minute, how come no one said this? And then funny is, I'm like, get on the job site, go engineer, architect, construction manager, whoever. I go, wait until you get out there. All you're going to hear right now in 2024 is commissioning, because everything's like now is like IAQ, energy, carbon, water, commission.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I go, get in now. I mean, it's hot. You know what I mean? It's just like, but you have to learn. Let's be real. You get into commissioning, you're going to have to learn mechanical, electrical, plumbing. You're going to have to learn envelope codes. You're going to controls, optimization. Be careful. Like, you get what you want. And you got to learn. You get paid more.
Woo. That's the other thing that's not spoken about enough. There's a multidiscipline element to commissioning.
Yes.
You can't just be like, I'm the electrical guy. You can't be that guy. No, or I'm the mechanical guy.
They want you to come in and figure it out.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's the best. That's best part of my job is I love it when I can walk into a very big room, right? Yeah. And they're like, oh, Marcus is here. Like, hey, what's wrong with my building? I'm like, give me a second. I'm over here like I'm like a ranger in SEAL Team 8 and stuff like that. And I'm like, I joke around like I was dropped off in a war zone, blindfolded, and in a minefield, because remember, everybody loves you when you solve a problem, but everybody hates you when you find a problem. So this is a love-hate relationship every single day.
You've got to be able to take it and give it. So to wrap that up, I think you can teach it, and you are actual living evidence that is true, right? Because what is uniquely sad about the situation is you're literally the only person in the whole of America, let's say, which is the known world to most people in the world, who's teaching this at college level. And I think we've got to change that. So anyone who's I don't know, if you're listening here from Penn State or somewhere else, my question to you is, why do you not have a commissioning segment to your engineering?
Talk to them. Tell the professors to call me. We can work on it. This is what we do. So the BCA does have a lot of training courses, basically the ACG, the AABC, ASHRAE. They have training courses I know that you go to. But when it comes to a college level, so remember, now this is a core class. It only took me 2 years, 4 years, core classes, introduction, advanced, right? So the goal is maybe one day we might have a commissioning program, like a real one, when we actually have core requirements and we can actually make it a major. That's the hope and dream, but that's down the road. But
that's the dream. But I'd settle for just expanding out to some other universities. That would be
we're trying. We're trying through the BCA. We're trying through ASHRAE. Yeah. We're working on things. But the hardest part is if you're going to be a practitioner teacher, everybody, you gotta get in there. So I'm also part of the ISPE, like with their International Society of Pharmaceutical Engineers. They're awesome, right? Education, STEM, it's important. But if you do it, you gotta teach it. You gotta jump in, and let me tell you, it takes time.
Yeah. And you find out how good a communicator you are as well when you have to teach.
But energy and time and the students, and you got to give to them. I mean, my class starts at 6. Sometimes I cannot get out of there until 10 o'clock. They're just sponges. They just keep, and I'm walking to my car and I'm like, go, you know what I mean? And it's just like, but I love it though, because they keep asking questions and I love helping them.
So then to wrap this up, I'm going to issue a challenge here in the form of a question. Why are there no other college level commissioning classes? I want an answer from Penn State, all of them. Why? Tell me why. Penn State, I'm picking on them just because I know they do a great engineering.
They're awesome. I don't know. I guarantee you in the next 5 to 10 years, every national program in a country will have it. And
I don't think so. It's going to need big hitters to make that happen. You're too solitary. You're one person. We need 3 or 4 big hitters to come together here and demand this. So there's my challenge to the industry. Let's move commissioning into the classroom.
It's come a long way in 30 years, hasn't it? Come a long way since IECC 2012 and LEED. We've come a long way real fast. So
got to go further, man. We got to make this legit. We got to make it academic. We got to make it a true profession.